Friends, life is a strange game. It's a dance of joy, sorrow, love, and hatred. But some emotions gnaw at our insides, consuming our very being. Revenge. The word itself evokes a mix of feelings, doesn't it? Some see it as weakness, while others believe it's the only path to justice. But what's the psychology behind it? Can revenge truly bring us peace, or does it push us further into a deeper darkness? Today, I'm going to tell you a story of such revenge, a story of an ordinary person becoming extraordinary, a tale of the madness of vengeance born from the pain of loss. This story will make you think. Perhaps it will even change your perspective. Our protagonist is Akash, a simple village boy. His eyes held boundless dreams, and his heart held an innocent love. He loved Neela, the most beautiful girl in the village. Their love was the talk of the town. Neela also loved Akash deeply. Their dream was to build a small family, filled only with love and happiness. Akash worked tirelessly day after day, striving to build a beautiful future for Neela. Akash had only one goal: to keep Neela happy. He knew life was tough, but his love would help them overcome all obstacles. Neela, too, always stood by Akash, supporting him every step of the way. Their love was like a fairy tale, untouched by any blemish. The villagers would say, Akash and Neela, a match made in heaven. But fate had other plans. No story in life follows a straight line. Behind happiness often lies the deep chasm of sorrow. Akash and Neela didn't know that a terrible storm awaited their dreams. They were absorbed in the haze of love, and that haze prevented them from seeing the dark clouds gathering over their future. Akash and Neela spent their days weaving dreams. They planned how they would fill every corner of their small home with the touch of love. Neela dreamed new dreams for Akash every day, and Akash tried with all his might to fulfill those dreams. Their bond of love was so strong that it seemed nothing could separate them. But the story took an unexpected turn. One evening, as the sun dipped below the western horizon, a dark shadow descended upon their lives. That shadow was of envy and greed. That shadow instantly shattered all of Akash and Neela's dreams. The influential landlord of the village, Pratap Roy. Pratap was a powerful and merciless man. His only weaknesses were his arrogance and greed. He was accustomed to getting whatever he desired, no matter the cost. When he saw Neela, he was instantly captivated by her beauty. He decided then and there that Neela would be his, regardless of her feelings or her relationship with Akash. Pratap had vast wealth and immense power. He controlled the lives of many villagers, and fear was his most potent weapon. He began to harass Neela, sending his men to threaten her and her family. Akash tried to protect Neela, but he was just a common villager, no match for Pratap's might. He begged Pratap to leave them alone, to respect their love, but his pleas fell on deaf ears. Pratap only laughed at his helplessness. One dreadful night, Pratap's men stormed Neela's house. Akash tried to fight them off, but he was overwhelmed. They brutally beat him, leaving him for dead. As he lay bleeding, he watched in horror as they dragged Neela away. Her screams echoed in the night, piercing his very soul. He tried to reach her, to save her, but his body wouldn't respond. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was Neela's terrified face, her eyes filled with tears and despair. When Akash awoke, he was in immense pain, both physical and emotional. Neela was gone. The villagers told him that Pratap had taken her, forced her into marriage. Akash's world had crumbled, his dreams, his love, his entire future, all shattered in a single night. The joy and innocence that once defined him were replaced by a burning hatred, a consuming desire for revenge. He tried to seek justice, to appeal to the local authorities, but Pratap's influence reached everywhere. No one dared to stand against him. Akash realized that the system was rigged, that justice would not be served through conventional means. He was alone, broken, and desperate. The pain of Neela's loss was a fire that forged Akash into a new person. He no longer recognized the innocent boy he once was. His heart, once filled with love, was now a crucible of hatred. He swore an oath that night, an oath of vengeance that would echo through the years. Pratap Roy would pay, and he would pay dearly. Akash knew that to fight Pratap, he needed power. Not just physical strength, but intellectual prowess and strategic cunning. He left the village, leaving behind the ashes of his past. For years, he roamed, learning, observing, planning. He learned about business, about the legal system, about the darker side of society. He worked odd jobs, saved every penny, and invested it wisely. He read countless books, honing his mind, turning his grief into a weapon. He meticulously studied Pratap's empire, his weaknesses, his connections. He understood that to bring down a giant, one must first understand its foundations. He learned about Pratap's illegal dealings, his network of corrupt officials, and his vulnerabilities. He built connections, not with power-hungry individuals, but with those who had been wronged by Pratap, those who sought justice but lacked the means to achieve it. Akash transformed himself completely. His gentle demeanor was replaced by a steely resolve. His eyes, once filled with warmth, now held a cold, calculating glint. He became an enigma, a ghost from the past, slowly weaving a complex web around his unsuspecting target. His transformation was not merely external, it was a profound shift in his very soul. The innocence was gone, replaced by a singular, burning purpose: revenge. He remembered Neela's face, her screams, the helplessness he felt. That memory fueled every action, every decision. It was a constant reminder of what he had lost and what he needed to reclaim. He was no longer just Akash. He was an instrument of retribution. Years passed. Akash returned to his village, but no one recognized him. He was a new man, wealthy, influential, and shrouded in mystery. He established a new business, seemingly legitimate, but it was merely a front for his true objective. He began to systematically dismantle Pratap's empire, piece by piece. He exposed Pratap's corrupt dealings, using his newfound influence to leak information to the press and anti-corruption agencies. He exploited Pratap's business vulnerabilities, buying out his competitors, and driving down his profits. He subtly turned Pratap's own allies against him, planting seeds of doubt and discord. Pratap, arrogant and overconfident, initially dismissed Akash as a minor nuisance, a new player in the game. But as the losses mounted and his empire began to crumble, he started to realize the gravity of the situation. Akash moved with calculated precision, always 2 steps ahead. He never directly confronted Pratap, preferring to work from the shadows, manipulating events from behind the scenes. He used the legal system against Pratap, filing lawsuits and exposing his illicit activities. Pratap, who had always manipulated the law to his advantage, now found himself caught in its intricate web. Pratap's world began to unravel. His reputation was tarnished, his wealth diminished, and his power waned. His allies deserted him, fearing the wrath of this new, unknown adversary. He became paranoid, isolated, and desperate. He tried to retaliate against Pratap, but every move he made only played into Akash's hands. It was a calculated game of chess, and Akash was the master player. The villagers, who had once feared Pratap, now whispered Akash's name with a mix of awe and trepidation. They sensed a change in the air, a shifting of power. They wondered who this mysterious man was and why he was so relentlessly pursuing Pratap. The final act of Akash's revenge was meticulously planned. He arranged a public event, seemingly a charitable fundraiser, where Pratap was invited as the chief guest. This was Akash's stage, his moment of truth. Pratap, desperate to regain some semblance of respect, reluctantly attended. As Pratap stood on the dais, addressing the crowd, Akash stepped forward. The spotlight shifted to him. The villagers gasped. Pratap's eyes widened in recognition, a flicker of fear crossing his face. But before he could react, Akash spoke, his voice clear and resonant, amplified by the microphones. He narrated the entire story, from his love for Neela to Pratap's heinous act. He presented irrefutable evidence of Pratap's crimes, documents, and testimonies that he had painstakingly gathered over the years. The crowd listened in stunned silence, their faces reflecting a mixture of shock and anger. Pratap was exposed, his true nature laid bare for all to see. Pratap tried to deny it, to dismiss it as lies, but the evidence was overwhelming. The police, who had been secretly alerted by Akash, moved in and arrested Pratap on the spot. Justice, finally, was served. But here's the twist. As Pratap was being led away, his eyes met Akash's. Akash didn't show triumph or glee. Instead, a profound sadness washed over him. He saw not just Pratap, but the wreckage that revenge had wrought within himself. The years of planning, the cold calculations, the suppression of his true self, it had consumed him. He had achieved his revenge, but at what cost? He looked into the crowd, searching, hoping for a glimpse of Neela. He had always believed that if he exacted his revenge, Neela would miraculously return, or at least he would find peace. But Neela wasn't there, and the peace